things that will be useful today will be a chair, a stretchy band if you have one, uh, maybe blocks, maybe a cushion. And once you're comfortably seated in your chair, you might just take a minute to sit up tall and maybe close your eyes if that feels okay to you. You don't have to do that if you don't want to, but just take a moment to notice how you're feeling this morning. So if it's possible, maybe you've had a hectic morning, or maybe you're just tired, or maybe you feel great and you're ready to go and you're like, I don't really need this. But no matter what is the case for you, just take a moment and notice how you're feeling. See if it's possible to transition into practice in a way that will just allow you to be present and hopefully curious. So in the email that I sent this week, there was a quote by Pema Chodron, and I can't remember exactly how it goes. Offer chaos a cup of tea is one of the things that she says that I always remember. But maybe we can approach practice with that spirit of being curious and staying present to whatever is there and finding a way to welcome it rather than try and push it away. Because so often there are things we push away that are just there, and all of the pushing just makes things more difficult. Sometimes our breath can be an anchor during difficult times. So maybe during practice, you can come back to your breath if you're feeling stressed or frustrated with something. And you might also think about, is there a way to stay lighthearted and try to have fun with whatever is there? Sometimes keeping a sense of humor and approaching things in a more lighthearted way can be helpful. So we're going to be doing a bunch of balancing things today, and there will be plenty of opportunity to wobble, maybe to giggle, maybe to go inward and really stay focused. But as always, everything is optional and you get to decide. So if it feels good to you, start by taking a super deep inhale through your nose and then sighing it out through your mouth. You might do that a couple of times. Maybe think about taking in some good energy and releasing whatever is weighing on you, whatever is making you feel anything negative. And of course, those things will still be there, but maybe just letting go a little bit. Maybe just staying open to being with whatever is there. And then if your eyes are closed, you can take your time opening them. Make yourself comfortable in your chair and find a way to grab one of your feet and give yourself a little foot massage. And if lifting your foot up feels like, no, my hip doesn't like that today, you might also just kind of rock your feet around on your mat. So whatever is going to work for you. So you're stimulating the bottom of your foot, which can be super helpful in balancing. And maybe it also just feels nice to have a little foot massage. And you might try that thing that we've done in the past, or you might choose not to, but you might try that thing where we kind of interlace our fingers between our toes as much as possible, or as little as possible in my case. Just shake hands with your foot. Maybe wiggle your toes around a little bit and start to warm your foot up. And if that's particularly uncomfortable, you might just take each toe and kind of wiggle it around with your fingers. And once you feel like that's enough for the one foot, you can switch feet. So again, either lifting your foot up and giving yourself a foot massage, or rolling your foot around on the ground to kind of stimulate the bottom of your foot, maybe the sides of your foot. And as you're doing this, you might pay attention a little bit to your breath too, just to make sure that you're breathing fully, breathing with some ease. In Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, there's a sutra that says Sthira Sukham Asanam, which translates to the pose should be steady and comfortable. So essentially, what we're looking for in practice is a balance of effort and ease. And one of the ways that it can be really helpful to know if we're really finding that is to notice our breath. And are we able to breathe with ease? So if we're holding our breath, or if we're having trouble breathing, that can be an indication that maybe we could ease up a little bit. When you're ready, you can release that and place both feet on the ground so that they're flat on the floor. And if you need to scoot forward in your chair, you can do that. And maybe peek down at your feet for this. Lift all your toes, spread them out as well as you can, and then press them into the ground. And then see if it's possible to lift just your big toes, keeping all your little piggy toes on the ground. And then see if you can reverse that and drop your big toes and lift all of your little baby toes. And then try reversing that a few times. So I find that looking at my feet is particularly helpful here, because sometimes I'm not even sure which toes are up and which are down. Once you've done that a number of times and you feel like, okay, that's something I can or maybe can't do, either way, you're trying, you can drop all your toes Maybe wiggle them a little bit. And then if you have a flexi band, grab your flexi band and place it underneath your feet. And once you have it securely under your feet, you might want to step your feet out a little bit to give you a little bit of tension with the band. And another way you can create tension, and you can certainly decide for yourself how much tension you'd like, but if you need more tension, you can kind of curl it up and ball it up in your fists. But from here, extend your arms out kind of at an angle, angled down. Lift up through your spine, straighten your back, engage through your core, and see if you can row your arms back, keeping them tucked in tight towards your body. So bending at the elbows, pull them in, and then release them back down and move slowly and with control. And make sure you're breathing as you do this. Notice where you feel it. So maybe you feel it in your back. You might notice your shoulder blades moving as you do this. You might think about keeping your torso upright and pulling your elbows back as you flex your arms. Maybe try that 1 or 2 more times. And then keeping the flexi band in your hands, walk your feet back in if you've walked them out. See if you can sit up tall and see if it's possible. So to do this, you might have to move your flexi band one way or the other so that you have more space on one side. But take your right arm and see if you can lift it up to any degree. So you're aiming to kind of stretch it up tall. Might go up part way, might go up a little bit, and then drop it back down. And then try that again. And no matter where your arm is, hold it tight where it is and see if it's possible to lean your body over a little bit to the side. So keeping your chest open to the front, can you lean over to the side and then come up? And try that movement a few times. And if you find that leaning and holding the band doesn't work really well for you, you could always let go of the band and just try leaning to the side. Really paying attention to your core, front and back and sides, and noticing what does it take to lean and then come up. So the band is just going to give you a little bit of tension. And if it doesn't feel useful, again, you could certainly do it lifting your one arm up, leaning over, and then coming back up. So once you've done it a few times on one side, you can switch to the other. And again, if you're using the band, you might have to give yourself a little slack there. You stretch your arm up and lean over to the side, and then come back up. the aim here is really just to get in touch with your core, to get in touch with your side body, to start to notice how it can engage to help you move in this side to side way. Once you've done it a few times, you can release the band and set it aside. And from here, you can either do this next thing seated or you can do it standing up. And first I'll show you seated. So you want to kind of scooch to the edge of your chair and you could hold on to the seat if that seems helpful to you. But lift your knee up, open it out to the side and set it back down. And then lift it back up and bring it in and set it down again. And then switch to the other leg. So you're kind of drawing these big arcs with your leg. And if you want to try it standing up, it would look more like this. And you might try it standing up and holding on to something, maybe a wall. But if seated works better, seated is a great way to do it. So you're starting to mobilize your hips here. Make sure you're breathing as you're taking these big steps. Take your time evening yourself out. And once you've done that, you can take what for you feels like a normal stance. And as you're ready, inhale and sweep your arms up. And take your your right wrist into your left hand. So you've got your left hand holding your right wrist. And from here, lean over to the side, keeping your chest open to the front. So you come into this crescent stretch. And as you inhale, notice your side body might feel maybe a deeper stretch that might ease up a little as you exhale. And then come back to center, switch your hands, and lean to the opposite side. I forgot to mute my phone. Hopefully that worked. And then take your time moving between sides. Maybe you want to hold it for a while. Maybe you want to just move from side to side more fluidly. It's up to you. And one thing you might consider trying, if you want to, would be as you're leaning to one side, you might take the opposite leg and step it behind your other leg to get a deeper stretch. That's only if you feel like that might feel good to you. Take another moment to even yourself out, making sure you've done it equally on both sides. And when you're ready, step to one edge of your mat, one end of your mat. And once you're at the end of your mat, whatever leg is on the outside, bring all your weight into that leg and hover your opposite leg, or just take all of the weight out of that leg. And then take a little step in towards the inside of your mat, but don't put any weight on that foot yet. So you're keeping it all on your back leg and you're stepping out to the side a little bit. Once you have your foot on the ground over there, you might try lifting and lowering it a couple of times just to see, am I really holding all my weight in this back leg? And once you're sure you are, place it down and slowly shift your weight over to that leg. And then you can do the same thing here. Check and see, where's my weight? Maybe you hover your back leg a little before stepping it in slowly, and then transitioning the weight into that foot, and make your way across your mat this way. So really all you're doing is trying to control where your weight is at any given point. And doing this slowly can be a good way of really keeping all that under control. And you can pay attention to what the rest of your body wants to do too. So you might notice as you slide your leg out, maybe like me, you tend to lean away from that leg that's just kind of hovering in the air. Maybe something else happens, but notice where your weight wants to go in order to keep you upright. And you can take as small or as large a step as feels useful. So maybe smaller steps feel more stable, maybe larger steps feel more stable. And once you've made your way across your mat, just keep going a couple of times back and forth, moving at your own pace, taking whatever size steps are going to be useful for you. You might also notice, what do your knees tend to do? Mine tend to want to stay bent through most of it. Maybe that's true for you, maybe it's not. Maybe see if you can notice the exact moment when all your weight has been transferred between your feet. And the next time you find yourself at one end or the other of your mat, you might continue doing it the same way. Or one thing you could try to do would be to turn whatever foot is facing the inside of your mat or on that side. You might turn that one to face the short edge of your mat and try stepping with that foot aimed in that direction, doing the same thing, slow motion kind of weight transfer. And see if that changes things. Maybe it adds on another level of challenge. Maybe it's something you skip altogether. Maybe you think it's fun. Just notice. And if you are trying those two different foot directions, one facing the long edge, one facing the direction that you're moving in, when you get to the other side, you're going to want to reverse and try it out the other way. And maybe notice if moving in this slow, potentially very controlled way feels, well, how does it feel to you? Does it feel like it creates tension? Does it feel like it creates focus? What kind of effect does it seem to be having? And again, one way to kind of gauge where you are is to notice how you're breathing. Once you've made your way back to your starting point, you can choose from continuing on doing that, exploring what we've been doing, going back to anything else that we've done. Or you might come to the center of your mat. Your choice. And if you're going to come to the center of your mat, step your feet wide into what you feels like a sustainable wide-legged position. And if you have blocks, you could certainly have blocks here to place your hands on. So we're going to be leaning forward if you're trying this. But stabilize through your legs. Think about squeezing your legs down, maybe towards the midline. Flatten through your back. And as you're ready, fold forward, hinging from your hips, and come about halfway down. Maybe placing your fingertips on blocks or on the floor. And notice if you can feel a stretch anywhere. So maybe you feel a stretch through the backs of your legs, through the inner thighs. And you can stay here halfway down. Or if you enjoy folding forward, dropping your head towards the floor, allowing your back to release down towards the floor, you could go further. So wherever you are, make sure you're breathing, noticing what you feel here. And this is a version of Prasarita Padottanasana, or wide-legged forward fold. And if you're folded forward all the way, take your time coming up to halfway again, and then making your way all the way back up to standing. And once you're standing, maybe take a couple of deep breaths, just noticing what you feel like. And as you're ready, turn your right foot out so that it faces the short edge of your mat. Maybe extend your arms out into a big T. And then as you're ready, bend through that, what I'm going to call your front leg. It's your right leg, the one that's got the toes facing the short end of the mat. So now you're in a warrior two stance. And from here, something you might try, you can stay here, or you might try bending and straightening that leg a couple of times. And if this is working really great for you, you continue to do this. Or if you would like to try triangle pose, what you might do is straighten both your legs, start to reach through your right arm, allow your pelvis to kind of tilt here, and then drop your right arm either to somewhere along your leg or to a block or to the floor, depending what your body feels like. Maybe lift your upper arm up and notice that it's that same kind of stretch through the side, extension through your side body, and also a lot of work to keep you here. And then plug through your front foot, lift yourself up. And also some balance is required for this. And then turn both toes to face the front. And turn your left toes to face the short side of your mat. Extend your arms up. Bend through your left knee. Come into your warrior two on the second side, Virabhadrasana 2. And then if you would like to try that same bending and straightening of your knee, you can do that. Once you've tried that a few times, you might consider trying triangle pose if you enjoyed that on the other side. So if you're going to do that, you'll straighten your legs, reach through your left arm, allow your hips to tilt, and then stretch that left arm down either to somewhere along your leg or maybe a block or maybe the floor. Maybe you'll lift your right arm up. Maybe take a couple of breaths before then coming back up whenever you're ready. And once you're back up, you can toe heel your feet in or step your feet in or hop your feet in. And take a moment in mountain pose. Maybe roll your shoulders back. Take a deep breath. If you want to close your eyes, you can close your eyes and just notice what you're feeling here. Whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes. And if you would like to try this next thing, you might want to have either a wall or a chair where you can place your hand. And if you think, no, I don't want to try it, you can try anything we've done so far. But if you want to try this, turn your right toes out to the short edge of your mat and keep your left toes aiming forward. And then step your right foot out a little bit and try shifting your weight into your right foot. You can keep your left leg down, or you might see what it's like to hover that foot. And again, this is where a wall might be useful or a chair. And then maybe put that down, maybe shift your weight back and try it a couple of times. So this is heading towards half moon pose. This is the same foot setup. And essentially what you do in half moon pose is this. You lean so that all your weight is on that grounded leg. You lift your back leg up and allow your body to tilt. So we're heading towards a half moon, ardha chandrasana here. And if half moon is in your wheelhouse or something you love trying, you can go ahead and place your hand either on the floor or a block or on a chair and see about lifting that back leg up and opening through your body, maybe lifting your upper arm. And you might also just practice this lifting and lowering. Your half moon can look like anything. Awesome. Whatever you're trying, make sure it's something that's really useful for you. Once you've tried it a few times or a number of times on that first side, maybe try it out on the second side. We'll come back to center, maybe shake out your legs. Maybe take a few deep breaths. You might try horse lifts. If you like horse lifts as much as I like horse lifts. And then as you're ready, once you feel centered, you can turn your left foot to face the short edge of the mat, keeping your right foot aiming at pretty much the long edge. Step your left foot out and start that weight transfer. And again, maybe you'll want to have a chair or a wall. Begin transferring that weight. Notice if it's any different on this side. Maybe you want to keep both feet down. Maybe you want to try lifting your back leg to any degree. Really try to keep this idea of weight shift in mind and really keeping in your consciousness, where is my weight here? Awesome. Maybe give it a couple more tries. And whenever you're ready, you can come back to mountain pose. Just do a little check-in, notice what you're feeling and where. Maybe reflect on whether or not there was chaos showing up anywhere. Were you a good host? Did you offer chaos a cup of tea? It's okay if you didn't. We don't always have tea around. And then take a little yoga recess. So anything you feel like doing here, we're going to have a couple of minutes for Shavasana. But if you want to take just a minute to do anything, if there's a stretch, or if you just want to head right into Shavasana, you can do that. Or if you want to jump, anything you want to do, go ahead. So take your time finishing up whatever you're doing. If you're not already in Shavasana. And then for Shavasana, just make sure you're finding a restful place to be, a place where you can really rest. And if you'd like to close your eyes, you can close your eyes. And see if it's possible to notice when your thoughts are carrying you away. And just let them go. Notice if your mind is wandering. If it is, lead it gently back into the present. You might deepen your breath here. Maybe find a little movement. And maybe just consider, do you want to come out of Shavasana now, or would you like to stay in Shavasana? And if you want me to sign you out, you can always wave to me, let me know. But if you would like to transition out of Shavasana, you can take a moment to do that. And you might consider finding a reason to express some gratitude to yourself. And maybe a moment to acknowledge the practice of yoga, its roots in ancient India and South Asia, and the generosity of the people who've shared it with us. And thank you for practicing with me today.